What up, meatheads? This is Travis, American Butcher, and this is the Meat Block Podcast. And this is a very special bonus episode. I had the amazing opportunity to talk with someone I used to work with, Lacey Zope, and she is the owner and founder of Lacey Zope here in Burlington, Washington. And how does this relate to the butchering industry? Is because her soaps are handcrafted with lard from hogs that are grown locally in the state of Washington to help build that closed loop system. It's very beautiful and very boutique, and I stand by the product. It's what I use on my face and on my body daily. So without any further delay, here is Lacey.
Good cutting enhances the quality of good meat. In his way, the meat cutter is an artist. Poor cutting results in an inferior piece of meat, regardless of quality.
Oh, we're doing the interview now.
Mm-hmm.
I am Lacey Zope, and I run a small business called Lacey Zopes.
Okay, so before you started the soap, what is your relationship with the meat industry or the butchering industry?
I think it was about 2013 I started working for what is now known as in Burlington, Washington, but before that it was up near Bellingham out of a little commissary kitchen. We were breaking whole animals, whole lamb, and I think we were getting primals of pork and making sausage and doing cuts out of this weird little kitchen shared with a bunch of other people. Mm-hmm. It was really, really strange. Jockeying for fridge space.
Yeah.
I mean, you need a lot with a bunch of people like making jam.
Yeah.
And
weird.
Truffles and washing their lettuce.
No one had designated fridge space. It was just like
It was set up by a guy who used to run our business here, and it was just a bad arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
There was designated space, but it was pretty limited.
Yeah.
I started working with them and followed that business down here to Burlington and watched it grow and expand.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I actually learned how to butcher.
Okay.
And do value-add product. And before then, I always had an interest and an intention to learn how to do it as a cook.
Yeah.
And as a chef, I really wanted to learn how to do that, kind of round out my skills.
Yeah. So what's your chefing background?
So I worked at restaurants in Bellingham as a line cook, and then I worked at a catering company as a sous chef for a bunch of years, mm-hmm. and then got into working as a private chef.
Okay.
Which was a lot of fun, which meant I went grocery shopping all the time.
Yeah. Here, sit on this so hit that.
Am I bumping?
Yeah, you can pick it up when you touch the table on the noise transfer.
Is that whole thing ruined?
What? No.
Did I ruin the whole thing?
No, I'm very cavalier with my when I use this thing. I've only used it like 3 times.
Okay.
It's the audience will know that we're not in any studio, so this will be like on the road.
We're in the field.
We're in the field. Yeah.
We're in the field. We're doing field interviews.
Yeah. So back to your chefing background.
Yeah. So a lot of
chefing?
I used to think that was the most pretentious term, and I actually used it a lot. You know, like I'm gonna chef this salad together, chefing it together. Yeah. But I preferred being called a cook. It wasn't until later in my career that I ran into a lot of people that insisted that I own that name as a chef. I'd finally gotten far enough that I could. Uh-huh. I still don't feel like it's something that I feel comfortable with. But yes, that's what I was doing. I was when you run a kitchen or you work under somebody who runs a kitchen, it's a good idea to set your name for yourself.
Okay.
Just so everybody is clear what your
sure.
job is. Yeah. But when you're doing personal chef stuff, it's also nice for whoever you're working for to say, I have my own personal chef.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're keeps you from having to scrub their toilets or whatever else they want you to do.
But you would never correct someone. Someone would be like, hey, Lacey, could you do this and that? No, it's chef.
No. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. No.
I think you should.
That's just my personality.
Yeah. I correct people all the time when people call me Travis. I just say, no, it's Master Butcher Travis.
It's Master
Sir.
Butcher Travis, Sir.
Topham Hatt, who's a character on Thomas the Train.
Well, you probably know all about that because you have a little kid. I have 2 cats, and they do not watch anything but bird TV. Oh yeah, there's bird TV.
Multiple channels?
It's mostly on YouTube.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do they try to attack the TV, or do they just watch it?
Very gently, they try to bite the screen.
Okay.
It's very, very cute. I was kind of hopping around and then got hooked up with this gig, working at, which is how I met you.
Mm-hmm.
I got pulled off that project and was asked to open a bakery. So I had to move away from here. What was it? 2015? 16?
16.
During that time, I actually got tennis elbow pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I liked your episode the other day talking about what happens to your body when you do these movements over and over again, and how I got my injury was hauling luggers and then tipping them upside down into the vacuum stuffer.
Yeah.
Which put a lot of strain on the top part of my forearm. And the bullshit part about that injury is it's such a small muscle, but it feels like you're being stabbed.
Yeah.
And it's not until you fully understand what's actually going on with your hand or your arm that you stop worrying that you have cancer in your elbow or you're going to have surgery.
Yeah.
So what I did was I just went to a physical therapist and they just pushed on it until, I cried for 2 months and I let it heal, and I was lucky enough to be able to keep my job while that was going on.
Yeah, I like those compression band-aids that push the pressure in here.
It keeps you from using the muscle, which is awesome when you're trying to heal. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you got to get that muscle back. Though the reason I hurt my arm in the first place was I was using a muscle incorrectly that I hadn't built up properly. Yeah. So I wasn't strong enough there in that little muscle, and it got inflamed, which is the same thing that happens to your shoulders. It's the same thing that happens to your hips or your knees.
So you fell into baking as a result of cooking. Did you enjoy baking more, or
they both have their own qualities. Baking is just as scientific as making sausages, but just on a larger, more intense scale. With sausage, you kind of have these parameters that you have to stick with, but they all follow the same rules. Temperature, time, mixing. Some of the equipment is the same sometimes, but with baking, there is a lot of waiting and then finding out if your product was right later on. Both industries have shelf lives. Yeah. They're pretty short, especially if you're doing fresh stuff and not freezing your stuff. So I've always had an interest in baking, just like meat cutting. Yeah. I was really lucky in my career to get to do all the things I wanted to do. I got to go full on with being a meat cutter, learning how to make value-add products and specialty cuts. I got to become a baker and learn how to make those really rich, naturally leavened breads. sourdoughs, and we live in a place where we actually are able to grow some really beautiful organic sustainable grains. So I got to work with those and learn about that industry as well. But was there another question that you wanted to ask about baking?
Nah, I like pastries. I don't like it's not that I dislike, but I don't bake that often.
Well, you're gluten free, so you've got some other challenges.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm keto too.
Well then, yeah, I mean, that's a difficult spot. I mean, if you love croissants, if you love cookies.
Yeah. So right now I'm doing a bunch of like microwave mug cakes.
Mug cakes.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah, there.
I made a cake. It's delicious. What's in it? Egg and cocoa powder and xylitol. It's delicious.
And coconut flour.
And coconut flour. Actually, that does sound really good.
And some unsweetened chocolate chips.
You know,
and maybe some vanilla extract.
See, you're 20 steps ahead of me. I've been trying to do the ketogenic diet, but just a little more low-key. Like I'm doing intermittent fasting. I'm keeping my mealtime pretty small. And I'm seeing great results. I have a lot of energy. But I just cannot stop eating, rice. I sprout my rice. I eat whole grain rice. But still, those types of carbs are...
I did the intermittent fasting for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I felt great. And now I'm having a difficult time getting back into the intermittent fasting. Mm. This is now the keto podcast.
We're talking about diets here. Well, my favorite thing about the intermittent fasting, and I just explained it, is you just don't eat shit all day long.
Yeah.
Wow, what a concept. But we put a name on it, and now it's sellable.
Yeah.
Got diet plans. Just don't eat shit all day.
Yeah, no. That was a hard thing when I would do intermittent fasting. It's like a countdown. Then when I get off work, it's like handfuls of pistachios.
Go tell me.
Yeah. So, what was it like being a woman working in a male-dominated industry?
Well, it's like most industries in America.
Mm-hmm.
They, for the most part, most large corporations, most large businesses have a lot of guys at the top.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of busy work that needs to be done, packaging, there's a lot of ladies at the bottom.
Yeah.
When I was working at where you work now, I was the only female, and from what I understand, there's only one now. She's gone.
Yeah.
I know that when I left, the manager said something like, "I've hired a girl to take your place, Lacey." As if my place there could only be filled by a lady.
Yeah.
Or the work I was doing was specific to the certain skills a woman would have.
Mm-hmm.
When I did hurt my arm, I did experience a little something akin to, not discrimination, but a blatant example of stereotyping. Mm-hmm. So when I hurt my arm, I was put on light duty, and my light duty was instantly making lunches for everybody, cleaning the office spaces, organizing things, running errands to the store.
Yeah.
These are things I'm pretty good at, and I understand how to do, and maybe I just fell into them, and the manager was interested in making me happy and continuing to ask me to do those things. However, I always wonder if one of the other guys had gotten hurt, would he have been expected to make lunches for everybody and be kind of the den mother?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say right now, if I were to be put on light duty and those were my options, just with my personality, I would opt out of that.
Yeah.
Prefer to either find other, which there's hard to find light duty tasks in a manufacturing environment.
Right.
But I just would. I have no desire to do that. Just
Yeah, and maybe you would never have been asked to do those things because it would just be assumed that you wouldn't be good at it and you wouldn't want to.
Yeah. No, but if they phrased it like, well, you could do this, but I'm assuming you're not good at it, then I would do it.
You'd be like, I'll prove you're wrong, dickhead.
Yeah.
Watch me.
Watch me make the best lunches.
I'm gonna clean your office floor so clean.
Mm-hmm. They get totally Tom Sawyer.
Yeah. But you know, I went down to Ultra Source's training camp that they have down there for a couple days. It's basically a good way for them to make some extra money and sell you pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
But there was a few dinners where they just, you know, booze us up and give us lots of food. And just hanging out with big, wide dudes from Utah and Ohio telling me that, you know, there's no way I can be a good butcher because I can't carry a whole hog across the floor.
Yeah.
It's like, well, honestly, you shouldn't be doing that yourself. And, you know, I'm just as capable as anybody else. You know, I sound like a little girl, and your listeners will probably say, like, is this woman a little girl? Not, I'm a big, strong woman.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter anyway what my size is. There's little dudes that do this job too.
Yeah. I was recently talking to a friend of mine who was doing a butcher competition. And he was telling me that the way it was set up, that he ended up not, you know, it's a competition. People can't make it to the end. Mm-hmm. And then the judge was like, well, how does it feel to get, you know, to lose to a girl?
Fuck.
And then he said, fuck you.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't lose to a girl, I won to the better butcher. And I think that's
wow. Well, that's because, you know, you have good friends.
Yeah. Well, I'm on this self-discovery of trying to be woke as fuck, but I think if I say that, it makes it not good.
You just do it. Just be it. Just do it. Don't talk about it. I mean, you can talk about it with in private, like on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, I use the podcast as when I realize that I'm telling stories or something like that, I do a lot of self-reflection and be like, oh yeah, I was a horribly shitty person in my past.
Well,
or, you know, and then like, no, just not.
Everybody feels that way. Or not everybody, actually. Good people feel that way. If you think about your past and you don't see anything wrong with it, either you lived on a golden pillow your whole life, or, you know, you're a fucking dickhead.
Now, with your experience with working with these men, do you feel there was the over enthusiasm, or not over, like the over showing of chivalry? Because
no, I don't. This kind of your question's kind of interesting. My answer kind of plays into the chef thing. Like, it's not that I don't value myself. It's that I just assume that people aren't trying to show off in front of me.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that guys like to show off more for other guys because they.
Yeah, it's machismo.
It's machismo bullshit. I never experienced anybody trying to show me anything. If anything, I was trying to show them that I was worth more than hand-holding. You know, I was worth a one-on-one conversation. Yeah. And I was, you know, worth more than their, I don't know, what would that be?
You're not their dead mother. No.
Yeah.
You're not the scout leader to like,
all right, guys. Yeah, all right, guys. I'll just be over here washing your dishes. Yeah. I just felt like I deserved a place at the table, and whenever I felt like somebody wasn't giving me that opportunity, I would let them know.
Yeah, and awesome. And that's unfortunate that people don't have that voice or can't find that voice.
Or don't know that they have it.
Yeah.
And that was the case for me for a long time. And you waste time. You waste a lot of potential, and you cut yourself really short when you don't know what you're capable of and what you deserve.
And, okay, so you have the, your baking, your butcher, and then you started, once you left the industry, you started a rendering company, but instead of like a rendering company like where we talk about, you know, places that make dog food, you take, for cosmetics, you take leaf lard and help make the closed loop system by making it so it doesn't go in a landfill.
Yep.
And you make soaps and artisanal, handcrafted, small batches, local, non-GMO, all these awesome buzzwords that people just love. How did you get into the soap making?
Soap making was something I got interested in when I was an older teenager, trying to impress
You were an older teenager.
a friend. Sorry?
When you were an older teenager, not an older teenager got you interested.
No, when I was... Okay, let's just start over. Edit this out. Well, when I got into soap making when I was about 19, and I found it to be really, really, really interesting. And it was something that I always carried with me. And then when I was working here doing whole animal breakdown, you know, I was just looking at this leaf lard, and I was like, this is such a beautiful product. It makes wonderful lard for baking and cooking, and I think it would make good soap. So I mix it with a little coconut oil after I render it out, and soap it with sodium hydroxide, and I make what's called cold process soap.
Oh.
And it's low temperature, around 120 degrees. You stir it for a really long time, and then you add some essential oils to it. Set it in a mold, you cut it, you let it cure for a month or two, and package it up and sell it. And the cool thing about the lard product is that it's from right around the corner from where I live.
You walk to it.
I walk to the shop, and like you said, it closes a loop. It really it makes the whole animal butchery process a true statement.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times there are things that go to waste, unfortunately. I know that whatever I don't take gets taken to a rendering plant that in turn turns it into dog food or cosmetics. But for me, I really like using a fresh product, rendering it down, and then making soap with it the same day.
Yeah.
Soon, I do make shampoo, which is just a soap with just a different pH. It's got a little lower pH than soap. I make dog shampoos. I just gave you some for your new puppy.
And I use your soap when I use your shaving soap as well.
I do want to make candles.
Because you're a butcher, baker, and a candlestick maker.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be that. But I think it would be great.
Man, I really miss baking. I never say that about cutting meat, but I do say that about baking.
Really?
Yeah. I miss baking.
Every once in a while I miss slaughter. And then it'll be like a hot day where I'll think about just how miserable it was. Like, it's more of a romanticized idea of I get to shoot this in. I have no desire to go back to that because it's just a lot of lifting.
You're a revisionist. You're just remembering the good parts.
Exactly. My memory is just nothing but shooting animals.
It's a dark place in there. It's dark. It's real dark. Lots of shadows.
So, lastly, where do people find your stuff?
Right now, I'm selling on my website, leafsoaps.com. I sell at farmers markets around here.
Okay.
I'm taking classes, trying to improve my education.
On selling or just in general?
I'm taking classes up at the community college, just general education stuff, and to become a better business owner.
Yeah.
Which is making my business suffer right now. But eventually when I'm done with it, I'll be better at it. But yeah, so right now we're just really small potatoes. I sell at farmers markets. I sell on my website. And this stuff's fucking beautiful.
It is.
The soap is so beautiful. It's stunning. I see this stuff that people are making and selling, and there's no real story to it. They're just throwing together ingredients. And this is stuff that people have been making in their homes for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And it's just something we've gotten away from. And now we're buying soap that's made from poorly sourced shit tallow. Dial, Dove, all of those major brands are just shit.
Yeah.
They're processed in a way where they take everything good and nutritious out of the oil, and then they add it back in small quantities to make it kind of balanced. And what you get is just a highly refined, highly processed crap product, and they sell it to you at a premium. Here you're leaving everything good in it, and you're just doing it the old school way. I like it.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. Makes my skin soft and shiny.
Yeah.
You look at your hands like you're going to look at something nice and you just, put them back in your pockets.
Anything else you want to say before we want to plug? Where can people find, you mentioned your website.
Yeah. Etsy, I sell on Etsy. I've got some random products. My website is pretty limited. My husband actually is really good at making websites, and he keeps telling me he's going to make mine look better, and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see when he does that.
Awesome.
But just support your local makers and support your local crafters, even if it's your auntie who's making, little things out of wood. Just buy her shit.
All right, this is Travis, American Butcher. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Lacey Zope, owner and founder of Leaf Soaps, and all her information will be in the show notes. So please head over there, buy her stuff. And I just want to say thank you. It was great getting a different side of this industry of what happens or what you can do with some of this product that may otherwise go into landfill. Hope you enjoyed this bonus episode. Our meathead of the week is Norm the Butcher from San Francisco. And if you want to get a hold of us here at the Meat Block Podcast, you could email us at themeatblockpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me, you could. I am at American Butcher on Instagram and Facebook. The Meat Block also has a Facebook at the Meat Block. And if you want to support the show, the best way to do that is by leaving a 5-star review. And please leave a comment. Just like Grove Creek Farms and Mr. P or Mr. NPKLING. We have a lot of great stuff in WHIP. And until next time, keep your knife sharp and live in the margin. Thanks.